What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the ZayMoolaSportsPodcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and last night we witnessed history as the New York Knicks overcame a 29-point deficit, which is the largest comeback in NBA Finals history, to defeat the Spurs 107-106 and get themselves a commanding 3-1 series lead. And now, y'all, the Knicks are only one victory away from winning their first championship in 53 years. And y'all, last night was absolutely special. That is the greatest game that I've ever seen, and I've seen some really great games in my time of watching sports, y'all, whether it be collegiately or on the professional level. But what transpired last night was unlike anything I've ever seen, because it looked like the Spurs were just going to absolutely dominate the Knicks, because that's what they did in the first half. They scored 76 points. They made 14 threes, y'all, and the Knicks just could not stop them offensively or defensively. I mean, the Spurs were just doing whatever they wanted to on both ends of the floor, y'all. And it appeared as if the Knicks were just content, to lose that game and just head to San Antonio, head back, I should say, to San Antonio for Game 5, and try to win Game 5. It just didn't seem like that the Knicks were playing with a lot of energy. They were playing with a lot of effort. And I honestly think, y'all, that they just, kind of began to celebrate too soon. I think after they went up 2-0, and everyone was singing their praises, everyone was saying that, they were only two victories away from winning the championship. I just think that the Knicks kind of just came out flat last night. Now, again, I just think they were content with going back to San Antonio 2-2 instead of trying to really take control of this series. But then in the second half, y'all, you saw a total shift, both offensively and defensively with the Knicks. And I actually tweeted out that the Knicks were going to make a comeback in that game, that they had to pick up their energy and effort defensively, y'all. And that is exactly what they did. I mean, the Spurs only scored 30 points in the second half. Mind you, they scored 76 points and made 14 threes in the first half, y'all. But in the second half, they only scored 30 points and only made 3 threes. Now, they did miss some open looks, y'all, but a lot of that was because of the Knicks defense. They really picked up their pressure, their intensity, and their energy. I thought they really communicated well. They were switching well onto shooters, just making life incredibly difficult for the Spurs. That's why you saw in the second half, the Spurs had a lot of turnovers, particularly De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle. They were really turning the ball over because the Knicks had picked up their intensity defensively, y'all. And I think we have to give a lot of credit to Mike Brown, because I think last night he showed why he is one of the best coaches in the NBA, because great coaches, y'all, are able to make adjustments, and that's exactly what he did in that second half. Again, picking up defensive intensity. You saw the Knicks, they actually started to pick up the Spurs full court, which I also thought made life very difficult for the Spurs, y'all. But then the thing that Mike Brown did last night that I really appreciated, y'all, was him bringing in Jose Alvarado. And I know everyone's talking about, Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby, and yes, they were spectacular. But I think that Jose Alvarado totally changed the complexion of the game, because we know all series long the Spurs have been very physical with Jalen Brunson, applying a full court press against him, which has not only worn him down, but also has made it difficult for the Knicks to get into their offensive sets, because by the time Jalen Brunson is able to advance the ball past half court, there's only 15 or 16 seconds left on the shot clock, because again, the Spurs have been very aggressive with him. They are applying that full court press defense, so it's taking him, a considerable amount of time just to get the ball past half court. But Mike Brown had to put the ball in his hands routinely, because why? The Knicks don't have another reliable ball handler in that starting five that can really initiate their offense. And that's why, dog, it was a brilliant idea by Mike Brown to insert Jose Alvarado into the lineup, y'all. And Jose Alvarado really has not got a lot of playing time during the finals, or really just during the postseason at all, but he is a very reliable ball handler. You saw him last night when Mike Brown inserted him into the lineup. That allowed Jalen Brunson to move off the ball. And you saw he and Jose Alvarado, they were actually running pick and rolls between each other. And so, again, it just made life easier, not only for Jalen Brunson, but also for the Knicks offense. That's why you saw in the second half, Jalen Brunson was finally able to get some space and get some uncontested shots. Why? Because he had another ball handler out there and Jose Alvarado that can take some pressure on him. And that's also why, y'all, you saw the Knicks offense look absolutely unstoppable in the second half, because again, they had somebody else in Jose Alvarado, that can make plays for them, get their offense going, and really, establish an identity and rhythm with their offense. And yes, you got to show a lot of love to Jalen Brunson. Phenomenal last night with 36 points. The last couple of games, a lot of people have criticized him because he hasn't been as efficient as many thought he would be. But last night, y'all, again, he was finally able to get it going, man. Hit a big time 3 over Victor Wembanyama that cut the lead to 3. And at that point, I kind of felt like the Knicks were going to win that game, because they just had all the momentum, y'all, going into that fourth quarter. Even though they were down by 15 points, you just felt like they had the momentum because they, entered the second half down by 29, but then, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, able to cut that lead to 15, and just the big shots, the big threes they continue to make, the big plays, again, y'all, they were making defensively. I thought that's where they really won this game at, was defensively, being able to just absolutely shut down the San Antonio Spurs in the second half, because we know that, y'all, if you're going to make a comeback of that, of that significance, you're going to have to, make a lot of defensive stops, and that's what they did. Because remember, even early on in the third quarter, when they were starting to, make some shots offensively, they were still down by 25, 26 points, because initially they were not able to get stops, but then finally midway through that third quarter, they put the absolute clamps on the San Antonio Spurs, and that really was able to propel them to make this comeback, y'all. And then obviously have to show a lot of love to OG Anunoby. I mean, he's been incredible all series long. Now for the playoffs, he's shooting 57% from the floor and 50% from three. I mean, OG Anunoby has been absolutely incredible. But last night with the 33 points, the big plays that he made, both offensively and defensively, y'all, and then obviously the game-winning putback shot that he had. I mean, it was incredible to see. OG Anunoby is one of the best two-way players in the NBA, point-blank player. And I'm glad, y'all, that he's finally playing for a great team like the Knicks, because when he's with the Raptors, I felt like he didn't always get the respect, he didn't always get the credit he deserved, because the Raptors were never a great team. But now that he's playing for a great team like the Knicks, playing on the big stage like New York City, he's really get to show people, okay, I'm one of the best two-way players in the NBA, and he's been incredible, y'all. Josh Hart, man, he really stepped up his game last night too, made two really big threes. And I also want to shout out Jose Alvarado, because not only, y'all, was he great offensively in terms of his playmaking, not only was he great defensively, but then he made two big threes. We know Jose Alvarado is not a good three-point shooter, but he made two really key threes in that fourth quarter, y'all. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, I really want to show him a lot of love, because a lot of people, kind of similar to Jalen Brunson, had criticized him the past couple of games, particularly his lack of production in the fourth quarter, y'all, because through the first three games, Karl-Anthony Towns did not even score a point in the fourth quarter. But then last night, man, he was phenomenal. Hit a very contested three over Victor Wembanyama in the corner. Then he also had a nice little layup over Victor Wembanyama as well. He was finally flexing his muscle, showing why he's one of the best big men in the NBA. And we love to see that. We just want Karl-Anthony Towns to be aggressive. Obviously, we know, that it's going to be difficult to score against Victor Wembanyama, because Wemby is the best defender in the NBA. But we just wanted to see him be more aggressive, see him be more assertive. That's what he did last night in the fourth quarter, y'all. But again, I just really want to give a lot of credit to Mike Brown making the adjustments that he made in the second half, y'all. And that is truly the trademark of a great coach, because good coaches would have not have made the adjustments that he made in the second half, But Mike Brown, obviously, this is a man that's had a ton of success in the NBA, right? This is not the first time he's been in the finals. He was in the finals in 2007, right? He lost them, so he's learned from that. He was able to apply the lessons that he learned from that finals, y'all, carried over into this series, and again, really showed his brilliance last night. Inserting Jose Alvarado into that lineup just totally changed the trajectory of the game, man. It was just amazing to see. I mean, the Garden was absolutely rocking, y'all. The environment was crazy. And now, Knicks fans, listen, don't celebrate too soon. You still have one more game left. You got to close the deal, y'all. And it's going to be interesting to see, can the Knicks do that? Because right now, everyone is singing their praises, kind of like when they went up 2-0. Everyone was singing their praises. Everyone saying, oh, look at the Knicks. They're only 2 games away from winning the finals. Now, y'all, they're only 1 game away from winning the finals. Can they have that same level of focus that they had in games 1, games 2, and then in the second half of game 4 on last night? It's going to be interesting to see, y'all. And then for the Spurs, this was just an absolute devastating loss. And I don't know if they can come back from this, y'all, because this loss to me was very reminiscent of what happened in game 6 in the 2013 finals. Not that the Spurs in that game were up, by 29 points, but just the way the Spurs lost the game. Remember in 2013, they were up by 10 in the fourth quarter, y'all, and then the Heat just, made them miraculous comeback. Obviously, Ray Allen hits the game-winning shot in the corner off that Chris Bosh rebound and pass to him, and it just really demoralized Spurs, and that's why they, ultimately end up losing the game 7, right? And so I'm wondering, can the Spurs really just bounce back from this loss? I don't know, y'all, because they are a very young team, right? That Spurs team in 2013, that was a veteran-led team with Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Danny Green. They had a lot of vets on their team. Obviously had a veteran coach and Greg Popovich, and they still weren't able to overcome overcome that devastating Game 6 loss against the Miami Heat. So it's going to be interesting to see, can the Spurs overcome this loss, y'all, and, force a Game 6 to head back to New York? I don't know if they can do it because, again, they're very young. I have young players and a young coach. I'm not sure. Normally, y'all, when teams, when they choke the way the Spurs did, they're not able to bounce back from. But let's see if they do. But again, for the Knicks, just incredible to see. One game away, y'all, from winning their first victory, or winning their first championship in 53 years. And let's see if they have what it takes to close the deal in Game 5 in San Antonio. So there you have, man. This is me discussing the miraculous comeback from the New York Knicks to be able to overcome a 29-point deficit and take a commanding 3-1 series lead in the NBA Finals against San Antonio Spurs. Remember, y'all, last good messages or what? Make sure you get your daily dose. I'm in them, and I love y'all. God bless. Peace.